You're listening to The Wells Report, which will be back in 4 minutes. This is The Wells Report, which will return in 3 minutes. This is The Wells Report, which will return in 2 minutes. You're listening to The Wells Report, which will return in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is The Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. In short, we de-propagandize the mainstream media. We also make commentary. Commentary is not news. We differentiate between news and commentary on this broadcast. Life is confusing enough to have somebody like me looking at somebody like you and trying to pass off that opinion as being news is not what we do here. We make this plain, we make it straightforward, and yes, your opinion is welcome regardless of what it is. In other words, let's compare, let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is The Wells Report. It is Friday. I'm not wearing my fishing shirt. And that's because I was running through some very interesting technical situations this morning. I had to take care of about 3 or 4 things before we got on the air. And I wanted to ask you a question, if you don't mind. So, we have been doing the video on this broadcast in an amazing studio that was helped put together or helped constructed by Dirk Steele, the executive producer of this broadcast. And we've had some real trouble with video transmission. And we chased this problem around and around and around because every now and then the video would stop and then it would keep going and it would the audio didn't stop. In other words, you could hear what I was saying, but the video was kind of jerky. And so we traced this around and everybody pointing at everybody else. We finally figured out that Chrome, the actual web browser, is putting a whole bunch of stuff into this stream that overloads not us, but overloads Restream, the company that I use to bring this broadcast to you. And so what we're trying to do here is we're running this through Firefox. And so I had to reconfigure a whole bunch of things. And so what I want to find out from you is whether or not the video is still jerking around. So if you can tell me that, that would be fine. Use the chat room if you'd like. The chat room is found on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, and Rumble. Rumble's going along as far as I know. Yeah, Rumble's going along. We're doing well. Yeah, everything seems to be working really, really well. So what I'm trying to figure out is whether or not the video is starting and stopping and so on. And if you could let me know via the chat, I would really appreciate it. And I promise at the first break I get, I will go change into my fishing shirt because it is Deeper Meaning says there's no jerking on the video. The only jerk on the video is the person speaking. Thanks. Thank you, Deep. Really appreciate that. Yeah. So Brad says, no, it's still jerky. So we'll see whether or not the incredible Dirk Steele is watching, and maybe he can jump in and let me know. So it shouldn't be jerky. Let me see if let me go to. Yeah, I see on Rumble right this minute. It's not jerky. So I'm hoping maybe it's just you, Brad. I don't know. We're trying to figure out whether we got jerky video. If we do, let me know. Please be so kind. Oh, you're on Twitch. Okay, yeah. So maybe it's Twitch. I don't know. We'll figure it all out. By the way, when I change into my fishing shirt, I'll also comb my hair. So let's get going on the news. Okay, sorry about that little aside. I just wanted to make sure that there was actually a show going on you could see and what kind of a condition it was in. So let's move forward. Former President Donald Trump's defense team had an amazing day with Michael Cohen yesterday in the New York hush money trial in New York City. It was fiery, as a matter of fact. Todd Blanche, the lawyer for Donald Trump, accused Michael Cohen of lying on the stand, and it appeared as though he was exactly right. Cohen had made earlier testimony that a call with Trump's bodyguard, Keith Schiller, was about paying porn star Stormy Daniels. As a matter of fact, that was the linchpin of all of his testimony. It turned out to not be the case. Trump watched his former hatchet man's testimony through squinted eyes from the defense table as Cohen defended making a secret recording that was allegedly about a hush money trial to help deal with his client now, or hush money deal to help with his client now. And this is USA Today distracting from the real portion of this. Okay. What happened is that Trump lawyer Todd Blanche caught Cohen in a lie. And it was so bad that even Anderson Cooper of CNN said he would absolutely have doubts about Cohen's testimony if he were on the jury. CNN anchor Anderson Cooper admitted on yesterday, that he would absolutely have doubts about former Trump attorney Michael Cohen's testimony if he were a member of the jury. Cooper made the comments while speaking to CNN legal analyst Elie Honig, somebody that we've had on this broadcast a couple of times, about a notable moment during the Cohen cross-examination that the anchor described as Trump's lawyer catching Cohen in a lie. They said that it was a Perry Mason moment, referring to the old television show where courtroom drama was the issue of the day. So this is what Cooper said. Absolutely. I think it's devastating for Michael Cohen's credibility on this one particular topic, Cooper told Honig, when asked if he thought Koenig's testimony or Cohen's testimony about his attempted phone call to Trump was not trustworthy. And that was a big deal. Cooper's admission came as both pundits discussed Trump attorney Todd Blanche's questioning of Cohen, who alleged that he paid adult film star Stormy Daniels on direct orders from then 2016 presidential candidate Donald Trump to conceal an affair that was alleged by Stormy Daniels. During the testimony with prosecutors, Cohen stated that he had called Trump's former bodyguard, Keith Schiller, on October 24, 2016, to get in touch with President Trump about the payment details to Daniels. However, as Trump's legal team questioned Cohen yesterday, Blanche pulled out records of text messages that Cohen sent to Schiller shortly before the phone call. The text messages revealed Cohen asked to talk to Schiller about a 14-year-old prankster that was harassing him and whether or not he could sic the Secret Service on this kid. The records indicated that Schiller told Cohen, "Call me," just ahead of the phone call. Cohen testified earlier it was meant for Trump about the payment. When Blanche asked Cohen what the call was about, Cohen admitted the call was partly about the 14-year-old harassing him. Part of it was the 14-year-old, but I know Keith was with Mr. Trump, said Cohen. Trump's lawyer followed up by accusing Cohen of lying during the exchange, a charge that Cooper seemed to agree with. This is Anderson Cooper here. He also expressed his belief that many other people present in the courtroom saw it that way as well. Quote, "You could tell the import of the moment, and everyone in the courtroom could tell, as if you were unaware of it, the clicking of every reporter's in the room's typewriters." It's more like computer keyboards. "It was like a crescendo because the drama of the moment was so clear to everybody in the room," said Anderson Cooper of CNN. "If I was a juror in this case watching what I would think, this guy's making it up as he's going along, or he's making this particular story up," said the CNN anchor. Okay, so we talked about this yesterday. We talked about Cohen on the stand, and we talked about the fact that this is Alvin Bragg's entire case right here, exploding in fragments before the entire country, even through the filters of biased news media. It is so bad that the biased CNN even had to admit that Michael Cohen was caught dead in his tracks, lying about a phone call that is the center point of this entire case. Now, what's going to happen next? Well, there are two things could happen next. Alvin Bragg could take the prosecution table, stand up, and say, "We want to end this case. We want to just end this case and take it out of the hands of Juan Merchan." The problem with that is that ends Alvin Bragg's career. Juan Merchan can stand up and say, "Okay, we're finished with this case. This is obviously not just a mistrial. This is a miscarriage, and we're going to end it right this minute." He's not going to do that. That'd be the end of his career. The only thing that's going to happen at this point is that this jury is now going to get all of this dropped into its lap, which is a legal mess. It is a legal mess that the jury does not and should not have anything to do with. The prosecution has malfunctioned. The main witness of the entire prosecution case has malfunctioned. There have been many moments of mistrial and misappropriation of testimony of all manner of things allowed by the judge. This is going nowhere on appeal. This case should not leave this courtroom intact in any way, shape, or form. Now, I'm not saying that as a Trump supporter. I'm saying that as a United States citizen, as someone who has seen a very disturbing use of law for the sake of politics, lawfare, if you will. I am reasonably sure that Donald Trump is innocent of all these charges, etc., but we don't even know what the charges are. We don't know what this crime that was being cited as the reason this turned it from misdemeanors that were, by the way, beyond the statute of limitations, misdemeanors into felonies. We don't know what that crime was because it was supposed to, these other crimes were supposed to cover up this main crime, and there was no main crime ever specified. So what are we doing here? Well, we're taking the opportunity to try to dredge up old stuff that was done in 2015, 2016, somewhere in that vicinity about Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels. And then we have Michael Cohen on a personal vendetta trying to do anything he can to throw Donald Trump into jail. And oh, by the way, save his butt from spending time in jail after his perjury charges. Remember, he made a deal. He made a deal as an insider to get Trump. Now this testimony is blowing up in his face, and more importantly, blowing up in the faces of everybody that gave him a deal. So what happens to Michael Cohen? I don't care. I don't care. But what this shows is the incredible intellectual, legal, and moral bankruptcy of lawfare being attached to this president. This is something that should never have happened. The other two cases are in deep, deep trouble. The other two cases, the one in Georgia regarding the election fraud situation, which, oh, by the way, specifies unbelievably ridiculous, apparent misconduct between the prosecutors. And Jack Smith's trials are going absolutely nowhere insofar as there is evidence that was shown in papers that were kept under wraps that blow the case right out of the water. Proving again that the DOJ has a major problem here. They have a major problem. There is a two-tiered legal system. One for Democrats, one for Republicans. Even three tiers if you want to, one for Democrats, one for Republicans, and a completely separate one for Donald Trump. And that's exactly what's going on. This is the most grotesque, ugly, nasty abuse of prosecutorial power I have ever seen. And it's not just on the federal level. Alvin Bragg is a city DA. Fani Willis is a state DA. She's an attorney general. No, she's Fulton County. She's a Fulton County DA. I'm sorry, it's county. We do have a state attorney general, and that was from New York. And now we have Jack Smith at all levels, the American court system being used to tarnish and possibly destroy Donald Trump. It is ugly. It is horrible. And I don't care what political party you're a part of. It makes absolutely no difference what candidate you're talking about. If any of this sticks, the people of the United States will officially stop picking the people that are supposedly picked to govern over them. They're going to be picked by Star Chambers and other people, the press, and not the people of the United States. That's the way I see it. How about you? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. This is the Wells Report. Thanks for joining us. Trying something new today. I hope the video's a little bit better. Let me know one way or another on the chat room. Back with more in just a moment. Stay put.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Good morning. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells, thanking you very much for joining us on our broadcast. As you can see, I've changed into my fishing shirt because it's Fishing Shirt Friday. It's already getting hot in Texas. It happens. It's, middle of May and on. We suddenly begin to broil here. And these fishing shirts, these are perfect. Man, if you live anywhere south of the Mason-Dixon line, then you are finished with spring. It's now summer, even though there are months to go, and it is hot. It was something like 90-something degrees yesterday or day before when I was playing golf, and I was broiling. But these fishing shirts are magnificent. And by the way, we don't buy the ridiculously expensive ones like this one. This is a Columbia. Get Magellan ones. You can find those at Academy Sports. So there you go. This is a big day. It's one of the first big days of some young person's life. It is the day you graduate from high school. And Barron Trump is doing exactly that. Former President Donald Trump is attending his youngest son, Barron Trump's high school graduation in Florida today. It's a break from his criminal trial in New York City. Juan Merchan finally relented and said, okay, yeah, you can go ahead and go to your son's graduation, which was, I think, a moment of reality for Juan Merchan, realizing that he, by God, better not stop the president of the United States from attending his son's graduation. And so he finally realized that maybe that was a bad idea. So he decided that he would relent and say, okay, we're going to take Friday off. So Trump's going to graduate. Barron Trump is going to graduate from Oxbridge Academy in West Palm Beach, Florida, on Friday. The ceremony is private. Barron Trump will go to college. It's unclear which university he has selected. The former president had previously floated the possibility of his son attending his own alma mater, the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. This is where Ivanka Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Tiffany Trump also graduated. Eric Trump attended Georgetown University. The former president and presumptive Republican presidential nominee had been pushing for weeks to attend his son's high school graduation. The judge presiding over his criminal trial in Manhattan, Judge Juan Merchan, left the decision on whether to allow Trump to attend in limbo. Nice. Court meets every day except on Wednesdays, and Trump had been required to attend each day of his criminal trial stemming from Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's ill-fated case against him. Trump had pled not guilty to 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. He maintains his innocence. Merchan ultimately granted Trump's request to attend Barron's graduation, but he denied Trump's request to attend arguments at the Supreme Court on April 25th regarding the matter of presidential immunity. Barron's a great student. He's very proud of the fact he did so well and was looking forward for years to having his graduation with his mother and father there, said Trump, before Merchan granted his request to miss a day in court for the, quote, scam trial, unquote. Former First Lady Melania Trump told Fox News Digital during an exclusive interview last month that nothing makes her more proud than the relationship that she has built with Barron. Meanwhile, the trial is expected to resume Monday with a continued cross-examination of the prosecution's star witness, former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen. I am extremely happy that the Trump family are getting together for the graduation of Barron Trump. That is awesome. And it is something that I think should have never, ever been in doubt. It just should have never been in doubt. I really don't understand why it was that Juan Merchan wanted to make this as big a pain in the butt as possible for Donald Trump, except, of course, that it does keep him off the campaign trail. For those people that believe that this entire lawfare business with Donald Trump is intended just to keep him off the campaign trail, well, they got an amazing affirmation of all of that yesterday. This is truly a mess. This is absolutely a mess. There is big news coming out of Valhalla and the PGA Championship in Louisville, Kentucky. The world's #1 golfer is someone who, for the first time in maybe a long, long time, was seen in a photograph without a sponsor's name on it and in the complete wrong color. We're going to tell you what that's all about coming up in just a couple of moments as we continue. This is the Wells Report. Back with more in just a moment.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. John David Wells with you on Friday. It's Friday. Yes. We got lots of work to do this weekend. I hope that you're going to get some rest anyway. But we are going to have a wonderful weekend this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what's going on with Scotty Scheffler. He was arrested this morning. He spent some of his morning, and perhaps still is spending his morning, in a Louisville, Kentucky jail. This after an incident near the entrance of Valhalla Golf Club, the site of this week's 2024 PGA Championship. Earlier this morning, there was a tragic accident where some tour bus ran over a pedestrian trying to get to the actual golf course. That guy died in place. We are incredibly upset about that, but we don't know what Scotty Scheffler was doing. Remember, Scotty Scheffler has hard times that he has to hit. In other words, he's got to be at the tee at the appointed time, or he's disqualified. And apparently what ended up happening is that he apparently drove around some police officers that were asking him to stop, and they ended up stopping him, and after stopping him, they arrested him. Here is ESPN's report from earlier this morning talking about this particular case as we roll on for Friday morning.
Developing story this morning on the PGA Championship with world number one. Scotty Scheffler has apparently been detained by law enforcement there, trying to get into the course at Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville, Kentucky. That according to ESPN, but traffic was backed up near the golf course due to an unrelated fatal accident involving a pedestrian earlier this morning. Scheffler reportedly tried to drive past a police officer due to the misunderstanding with the traffic flow. As you can see in this video here, his vehicle was apparently then stopped by police and Scheffler was placed in handcuffs. You see there, Scotty walking towards the car in handcuffs, and the police officer putting him there in the back of that car. As for the tournament, the PGA Tour, of course, put out a statement saying that they had to delay it because of the accident. It was supposed to begin at 7:15, but of course that has changed with all the movement and weather as well. And here's a statement from the PGA Tour of America, keeping it short. As this is an ongoing situation, we will let you know of any updates as they come.
Yeah, that's the story with Scotty Scheffler today. Now, I don't know what's going on. Typically, the people surrounding those venues, typically those people are highway patrolmen, and those highway patrolmen don't play. They do not mess around. As a matter of fact, they're kind of picky when it comes to what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do, and they will indeed arrest you if you don't do the right thing, which is whatever they tell you to do. So what I was talking about here was, that's too big. Hold on just a couple of minutes here. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get you the picture of Scotty Scheffler in his prison orange. Yeah, this is not a pretty picture. Let me show this to you. That's Scotty Scheffler, the world number one golfer in orange scrubs, which are the uniforms du jour when you are taken to jail. And indeed, Scheffler is in jail or was in jail. Now, I don't know whether he's going to be able to make his tee time or not. If he doesn't, he's disqualified, or whether they're going to reschedule him for later on this afternoon. Normally, what happens is there are two squads that play the golf course. The people that play early on the first day, Thursdays, play late on Friday. And the people that play late on Thursday play early on Friday. And indeed, that's where Scheffler's schedule lay. From USA Today, who's given us this story, Scheffler said in a statement released on social media he was attempting to enter the golf course ahead of his scheduled tee time and was proceeded at the direction of police officers, some of whom were on the scene to respond to a fatal traffic collision in the area earlier that morning. He called the arrest a big misunderstanding. It was a very chaotic situation, understandably so, considering the tragic accident that had occurred earlier, and there was a big misunderstanding of what I thought I was being asked to do, he wrote in a statement. I never intended to disregard any of the instructions. I'm hopeful to put this to the side and focus on golf today. Of course, all of us involved in the tournament express our deepest sympathies to the family of the man who passed away in the accident earlier this morning. It truly puts everything in perspective. Scheffler was released from jail. So good. He has been released. He arrived at Valhalla a little after 9 a.m., roughly an hour before his scheduled tee time of 10:08. Tee times were delayed by almost 90 minutes today because of the traffic accident. Louisville police did not immediately reply to messages from USA Today Sports seeking comment and more information about the circumstances surrounding the Scheffler arrest. It is immediately unclear when he is next scheduled to appear in court. Louisville-based attorney Stephen Romines confirmed Scheffler's charges to local reporters in a brief interview this morning, said we'll litigate the case as it comes. Quote, apparently there had been a traffic accident or maybe even a fatality down the road, and that changed the traffic patterns. He was unaware of that fact, said Romines. This according to the video posted by WLKY-TV. That's the video you just saw, by the way. And I think the officer was directing traffic was maybe not part of the event traffic detail, so that's where the miscommunication arose, and that's why they're here. That makes complete and total sense, by the way. The arrest came as a shock to the world of golf, where Scheffler has become known as not only one of the top ball strikers in the PGA Tour, but also one of its most affable characters. He's won 10 PGA tournament events and 2 majors, including the most recent edition of the Masters earlier this spring. A recent article on golf.com dubbed him the golf's best player and maybe its most charming, too. He's a wonderful guy. He truly is. ESPN reporter Jeff Darlington first broke the story earlier this morning, witnessing it take place outside Valhalla this morning. He wrote on social media, a misunderstanding with traffic flow led to Scheffler's attempt to drive past a police officer toward the golf course. Darlington posted the video clip on social media of Scheffler being escorted by police while in handcuffs ahead of the second round of play, described the events as he witnessed them on social media and on ESPN. The video shows police detaining Scheffler and an officer telling Darlington that the golfer is going to jail. Darlington added that Scheffler, while in handcuffs, looked toward the reporter and said, "Please help me." Darlington said they told him to stop. When he didn't stop, police officer attached himself to the vehicle. Scheffler then traveled another 10 yards before stopping the car. The police officer then grabbed at his arm, attempting to pull him out of the car before Scheffler eventually opened the door, at which point the officer pulled Scheffler out of the car, pushed him up against the car, and immediately placed him in handcuffs. Well, there you go. Scheffler, by the way, shot 4 under par 67 in the Thursday opening round, is tied for 12th, entering today. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. So that's what happens. By the way, I want to welcome Cleo Marchese. Why don't these pro golfers have professional drivers? You know what, Cleo? I don't think it would have made any difference. I don't believe it would have made any difference this time, because I think probably what would have happened was the change in traffic pattern involved 2 separate police forces. Clearly, the Highway Patrol was involved with one of these. Now, it may have been local police that handled the traffic accident that killed this unfortunate man, and then the Highway Patrol handling security for the event, or vice versa. But either way, there are 2 different agencies working, and it appears as though 2 different agencies were involved. In other words, one police officer said, "Go ahead." Another police officer said, "Where are you going?" And then reached out and attached himself to the car, and Scotty kept driving. Now, people have been shot by police officers for doing that exact thing. You just don't threaten a police officer with a car, or they'll kill you, or shoot you at least. And so Scotty Scheffler, that was quite a deal. He could have been in very serious trouble. Now, whether he's going to be or not, I don't know. I suspect that this is probably just going to be written off as a misunderstanding because of a chaotic situation, which it most assuredly was. If you have ever driven down the road, yourself, and you've seen or come up on a traffic accident, especially one that involves a fatality, you will note that even on freeways, the freeway is closed. People are taken off the freeway around the traffic accident site, because you just don't want to have people driving past a fatality. You don't. And that happens everywhere in the country. When I was a traffic reporter for News 13 inside Las Vegas, when I lived there, we came upon a traffic accident. It was a solo accident, 3 guys in a pickup truck that had been driving from north of Las Vegas, probably down from Utah, to come and have a weekend at the most fun city on the planet if you're an adult. And what had happened is maybe the driver fell asleep. We don't exactly know. The driver lost control of the vehicle and cartwheeled down the median, coming in contact with a drainage ditch made of concrete. We know there were 3 people involved in the truck because there were 3 yellow tarpaulins covering the bodies. But the entire freeway had been stopped. And that was not a good place to stop, because north of Las Vegas at the time, there were no frontage roads. There was the freeway and nothing else. So we were there almost immediately after the event. But what I'm pretty sure what they did is they went back to the next Highway Patrol crossover and just sent people through there, and then probably put a couple of fire trucks in the way so they couldn't see what was going on. But these tragic accidents do happen, and they are very, very chaotic. And it's very bad when these things go down, and especially just in a normal circumstance. But when you're talking about at a major golf event, this is a major golf tournament. It is the PGA Championship. Professional golfers from all over the world play in this tournament, including your PGA Golf Pro at your local PGA course, if he can qualify for the event. They have like 30 of those guys playing, and they're all great golfers. The difference between your PGA Pro and the guys that actually tour, the difference is immense. But if you're like me, then what ends up happening is you go to your PGA Pro and he's so much better than you, it's not even close. And when you put one of those guys next to touring pros, the gap is more narrow, but there's still an amazing gap between the players that you see on TV and the players that you see when you go to your local PGA course. But the tragedy of this cannot be anything less than poignantly noted that somebody lost their life about to have one of the most enjoyable days that he could possibly imagine. Going to see the greatest golfers in the world at arguably one of the most important tournaments in the world, and ended his life today by being hit by a bus. And Scotty Scheffler, involved in the chaos, just simply trying to arrive at the course on time, ended up in a position where, he was caught up in all of it and did not understand the directions being given him and ended up being arrested today. There are a lot of people that say, now, hang on a second, this is going to make police officers look really, really bad. And I suppose there's room for that. I mean, these are courtesy cars. They have signs on the side of them. It is probably pretty obvious to anybody, and who knows, one of these police agencies may not have had a lot of experience at PGA golf events, but you remember, those courtesy cars? Courtesy cars provided by, I don't know, pick a dealership somewhere, and they bring brand new cars out, and they're courtesy cars, and they normally have the PGA pros sign the dashboard, and then they go back to the dealership, and they are sold mainly as collector's items, especially if you've got somebody famous like Scotty Scheffler signing the dash of your brand new car. So they have signs on the side of them because they're advertisements. They're advertisements for the dealership. And so it's obvious that these are courtesy cars. The only people that get them are tournament officials, PGA officials, and players. And so consequently, you would think that the police officers would understand that there is someone there that is headed toward the tournament, and they really do need to let these guys go. Now, that being said, you simply cannot drive when a police officer has grabbed hold of your car. There are two ways of looking at that. First of all, if a police officer grabs hold of your car, stop immediately. The second thing is, I don't know whether I'd ask my police officers to grab a hold of cars while they were moving. You're not going to be able to stop the car. You're not. You have hundreds of horsepower just pulling the car forward, and the car weighs somewhere in the vicinity of 3,500 pounds. Why would you grab the car? Now, I'm not a police officer. I don't tell police officers what to do. I don't even talk about it, except on this broadcast. I'm just asking a question here. Why would police officers grab a hold of a 3,500 pound car being pushed by 300 horsepower? I don't know. I don't have any idea. But remember, if that ever happens to you, stop the car. Stop the car. So we'll see how Scotty Scheffler is doing. That's not the way you want to warm up for a golf tournament. And he probably would spend maybe an hour on the actual driving range and then a half an hour on the putting green. I don't know that that's what he was able to do, since he only had about an hour. So he probably had about maybe a half an hour on the range and maybe 10 or 15 minutes on the putting green. And then he started his second round of one of the most important golf tournaments in the world. As far as what's going to happen after this, we don't know. This is the Wells Report. Thanks very much for being a part of our broadcast. Our chat room is open. It is flying. Why don't you take a part of that? And we'll be back with more coming up in just a couple of moments. Remember that NFL player that talked about women being wives and homemakers? Still in the news. More of that next.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Do you remember Harrison Butker? Harrison Butker is a guy who jumped up and said that he was talking about how there were women in the graduating class of the college that he was giving a commencement to. There was Benedictine College. And what ended up happening was he said some things that were for traditionalists, for family traditionalists, traditionalist Catholics, were music to the ears of them, their families, and their commitment to their church. This, by the way, is what Butker had to say. We played it for you yesterday on the Wells Report. Take a look.
I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross this stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. As men, we set the tone of the culture. Be unapologetic in your masculinity, fighting against the cultural emasculation of men. Do hard things. Never settle for what is easy.
Yeah, and that speech was something that actually, for many of us who believe in many of those principles, right up to the point where somebody is stopped from living their life as they choose, those principles indeed built the human existence. And those people that immediately said things that were both unfortunate and plain ugly immediately jumped to the fore. The Washington Post said the NFL Thursday said it disagreed with the views expressed by Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker. The league statement came amid growing public criticism and debate surrounding Butker's remarks at Benedictine College in Kansas regarding the diabolical lies told to women and dangerous gender ideologies. Butker also addressed gay pride, referencing the deadly sins sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it. Harrison Butker gave a speech in his personal capacity. Jonathan Bean, the NFL's chief diversity and inclusion officer, said in a written statement provided to the Washington Post and other media outlets, his views are not those of the NFL as an organization. The NFL is steadfast in our commitment to inclusion, which only makes our league stronger. There was an interesting bit of news. The reactions, like I said, came relatively quickly. His speech drew the attention of legendary football coach Lou Holtz. He praised Butker for his speech. Quote, your commencement speech at Benedictine College showed courage and conviction, and I admire that. Don't give in. Also, Holtz also added a link to America First Works, where fans were able to publicly support and thank Harrison. Now, there's something else here. The other side of that comes from The Nation. Colin Kaepernick was blackballed from the NFL for protesting police killings and racial inequality. The NFL's Quizlings defended that de facto banning of Kaepernick, or Colin Kaepernick, as a part of the arsenal of arguments. The quarterback violated most important rule of sports, making games political. They said kneeling during the anthem was a distraction from the game itself, but it was never politics. The Kaepernick foes in the owner's boxes, league offices, and right-wing media sewers had a problem with. It was the ideas that he represented. In a sport where 70% of the players are black, the league wanted to make clear that anti-racism had no place in the NFL. The hypocrisy of what ideas are allowed and what not is on sharp display in the history of Kansas City Chiefs place kicker Harrison Butker. If you're asking who, you're not alone. Normally, the words of an NFL place kicker are about as sought after as a salad at McDonald's, yet Butker has angered a subset of fans, not to put too fine a print on it. These fans say that he is a bigoted jackass. A bigoted jackass. It's hardly the most important story on the sports political landscape, but it is revealing. And so they talk about him being homophobic, anti-abortion, anti-women, anti-this, anti-that. They call him a bigot, etc., etc., etc. And they keep going on. It's a pages-long diatribe of how horribly terrible this person is. Listen, Harrison Butker is an American. He gets to say what he wants to say. Colin Kaepernick was not good enough to play in the NFL. It wasn't collusion on the part of the NFL owners that kept him off the field. It was the fact that he didn't have the talent. And then he threw the race card when they were about to cut him. And then he made it worse. He compounded it by kneeling during the national anthem as if that was some sort of legitimate protest against the greatest nation in the history of the human endeavor. That's just my opinion. And so Colin Kaepernick in this conversation doesn't have anything to do with anything. He hates the entire country and put it out there for the NFL fans to see. And the backlash was immediate. But the backlash didn't come from NFL owners colluding against Colin Kaepernick. As far as Harrison Butker's whatever his name is, Butker. As far as he's concerned, this is a traditional Catholic. There is an amendment to the Constitution of the United States that talks about religious freedom, that talks about free speech. And that's all that happened here. And all these people that are trying to castigate him for being a bigot and a rotten human being, they don't speak when there are bigoted, rotten human beings that are talking about anti-Caucasian bigotry. And that is the hypocrisy that we see here, best exemplified by the reporting of The Nation. And so you got both sides of that story right here from the Wells Report. My particular point of view is, Harrison, good job. Stand up for your values. Do I agree with all of them? No. But do I agree with most of them? Yeah. This is the Wells Report, hour number 2, coming up in just a couple of moments. Stay where you are.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Hey, thanks for joining us this morning for the Wells Report, and make sure you share us with all your friends on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Patreon, and don't forget to check out our Substack column, which will be coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. When you do all this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us those thumbs up. They are really important. Check the notification box so you know when we're on the air, and whatever you do, join us every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, for the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. What do we do on this broadcast? We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We de-propagandize the mainstream media. Yes, we do make commentary, but the difference here is that when we make commentary, we make sure you know it's not news. Because commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. It's mine, it's yours. Let's put them together, let's compare, let's discuss, let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. So Scotty Scheffler spent some time in jail today. And so what's going on at this particular moment is that I don't think he's teed off yet. He's still at -4, but I could be wrong on this. I'll find out more as time goes on, and we'll find out exactly where this case lies. Because apparently this is not serious. This is probably a misunderstanding, just like Mr. Scheffler said it was. But you can't drive a car down the road with a police officer hanging off of it without paying some kind of penalty. We'll see exactly how that works. But at Valhalla in Louisville, Kentucky, Xander Schauffele is ahead at -9, and he will not tee off until later on this morning or later on this afternoon. So there you go. So as we come to this broadcast, some things have been happening regarding Israel and the United States and the politics surrounding Israel and the United States. Famously last week, President Biden decided that he was going to withhold arms shipments to Israel because he didn't want Israel to go into Rafah to finish off Hamas. This put him in the position of being a Hamas supporter because Hamas is a gang of bloodthirsty, degenerate, arrogant, horrifyingly evil people. And for whatever reason, President Biden wants them to survive this conflict that started on October 7th when Hamas flew out of Gaza and killed 1,200 or more Israelis. This is something that is just as plain as day. Nobody's talking about it in plain terms except me. But then again, I talk about things in plain terms. The president is risking looking like a Hamas supporter in this. He needs to get out of Israel's way. All you got to do is go back to the Vietnam War and see what happens when Democrat presidents attempt to run warfare. You don't even have to go back that far. President Biden made it possible for 13 American service people to be dead thanks to a suicide bomber at the Abbey Gate on the ill-fated retreat from Afghanistan, ordered by the commander-in-chief. When politicians run anything, especially war, people lose their lives. And here's President Biden trying to tell Israel, who has one of the greatest militaries in the history of the human endeavor, how to run their business. No, Mr. President, stop. I went so far last week as to opine that the president may have lost the 2024 election with that decision. Well, it didn't take long, oddly enough, for the Republican Party to react. The House of Representatives, run by the Republicans, passed a bill yesterday that would coerce President Joe Biden to continue sending U.S. arms to Israel after he paused bomb shipments over its conduct in the war in Gaza. The Israeli Security Assistance Support Act cleared the House by a vote of 224 to 187, garnering a handful of Democrats who voted for the measure, testing the party's ability to unite over the White House's Gaza war policy. There is a report from this particular on this particular story. It starts in Washington, D.C. Take a look at this, as this is not going away either.
House Republicans are taking matters into their own hands and voting on legislation that would force a weapons transfer to Israel.
You are either with Israel or you are not.
House Speaker Mike Johnson criticized President Biden's decision to pause a shipment of more than 3,000 bombs to Israel.
This is a catastrophic decision with global implications.
Texas Republican Congressman Michael McCall said the president has no right to punish Israel for how it uses its weapons in its war against Hamas.
This administration is more concerned about a small vocal wing of activists than the ironclad commitment that they talked about to stand by Israel.
But New York Democratic Congressman Gregory Meeks pushed back against the GOP claims. He says the president is trying to save innocent lives.
And the United States has a duty, an obligation under law to make sure our weapons are not disproportionately killing civilians.
Even Florida Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who criticized Biden for the hold, said this bill was a terrible idea.
This dangerous, cynical bill is not pro-America or pro-Israel.
Louisiana Republican Congressman Steve Scalise is positive this bill will gain more support.
The public pressure will grow so large that Chuck Schumer will have to take this bill up.
But Chuck Schumer, the Senate Democratic leader, says
it's not going anywhere.
The White House already said the president would veto this bill if it made it to his desk.
And that is from TV9 in Washington, D.C. We want to thank them very much for that report. And so what's happening is that the president is now being scolded by the U.S. House of Representatives for indeed making that unbelievable error in judgment. That's what I see in any way, shape, or form. I believe that the president did indeed make that mistake. And I'm hoping that he reverses himself or takes the hint from this particular bill and decides to reverse himself. I'm not exactly sure that that's going to happen. So the vote was another messaging effort from Republicans as they seek to make Israel and combating anti-Semitism one of the party's key issues in the 2024 election. House Speaker Mike Johnson, his fellow House GOP leaders, held a press conference on the Capitol steps, a venue typically used for high-profile events rather than what is largely considered to be a messaging bill assailing the administration for a shipment pause. We want the president to hear this loud and clear. He just not long ago said that we have an ironclad support for Israel. Well, that's what he previously proclaimed. His actions are doing exactly the opposite, said Speaker Johnson. It's true. The legislation drew widespread condemnation from Democrats, even Jewish Democrats, oddly enough, who accuse Republicans of politicizing the issue to drive a wedge between them ahead of the 2024 elections. The vote exposes divides in the party over Israel. They're talking about the Democrat Party. It would be nice if they actually would come forward with legislation that would help to resolve some of these issues in Gaza, said Representative Glenn Ivey. He's the Democrat from Maryland. Along with dividing the caucus on Israel, Ivey alleged Republicans were also looking to split Democrats from the Jewish community and the pro-Israel community. It's clear this is an effort by House Republicans to just try and divide us, said Chris Pappas. He is the Democrat from New Hampshire. No crisis goes to waste in the name of playing politics. Well, that's a cynical attitude, and I have comment on that, and I'm going to share it with you. Speaker Mike Johnson is completely correct. You are either a supporter of Israel or you are not. If you are not a supporter of Israel, then you are a supporter of Israel's enemies. Now, that's a de facto stance. People who are actually enemies of Israel only need to remain silent. Only need to remain silent. Because what needs to happen is full-throated support of Israel in this. All you have to do if you want Hamas to win this particular circumstance is to just remain silent. I find it absolutely cynical that the Democrats are accusing Republicans of playing politics to try to divide the Democrat caucus. Why should there be a division in the Democrat caucus in the first place? We're talking about Israel here. We're talking about Jews. We're talking about people trying to kill Jews in Israel and destroy the state of Israel. This is simple. There's only one decision here. The Democrat Party should not be facing division within its own caucus because the Republicans say, Mr. President, send the bombs to Israel. And if there is a division, then that tells you the sickness that's involved in the Democrat Party, especially where Israel is concerned. And then you continue to follow this particular unfortunate road chosen by the American left, which sadly includes the Democrat Party. Anti-Jewish bigotry is pervasive among the political left of this nation, including the Democrat Party and everybody else. Progressives, call them what you will, socialists, etc. The nation's great university campuses are besieged by anti-Jewish bigots. They got those ideas from somebody. And when the Democrat Party says, hey, we're not going to support Israel in this, all that does is add flame. It adds fuel to the flame. And that's what's going on right now. The state of play as I see it, President Biden wants Hamas to survive this. He wants Hamas to be an actual player in the Middle East, especially where Israel is concerned. That's what he wants to see. That is horrific. That is awful. And it is completely and totally inexcusable. You also have to start thinking about, okay, so they keep talking about these Palestinian civilians. Who are they? Who are the Palestinian civilians? Remember, Palestinian civilians put Hamas in power. Hamas was a terror organization before they put them in power. Hamas has been a terrorist organization since they've been put in power. Over a decade. It's not a surprise. I don't believe there are innocent civilians in Gaza because they support a terror regime that is bringing them ruin and famine and death and destruction. It's not Israel. Israel's protecting its country and its citizens. Hamas is doing this to the Palestinian people, and that's the ball we need to keep our eyes on. But let's assume for a moment that there is indeed a group of people that can be referred to as innocent Palestinians or innocent civilians. The United States is working to try to bring relief to them, and this is quite an engineering project. In fact, this is a floating pier off Gaza that is providing humanitarian aid.
Trucks carrying humanitarian aid into Gaza have begun moving ashore via a temporary pier anchored to the coast by the U.S. military. No troops came ashore in Gaza today. The United Nations will coordinate the distribution of supplies, which includes 11,000 food bars, special food for malnourished children, and hygiene kits. Palestinians have been in dire need of essentials since Israel began its incursion into Rafah last week. The Pentagon has said the pier could help deliver as many as 2 million meals a day.
And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. However, it also needs to be pointed out that that Palestinians have been starving for months, and yet we still don't have a death toll due to famine. And of course, if there was a death toll due to famine, I guarantee you that Hamas would be more than happy to share it with us. So people are maybe hungry, they may be uncomfortable, they may be non-hygienically stinky, they may be all of these things. But the humanitarian horror that keeps being talked about by Hamas completely ignores the actual humanitarian horror perpetrated on Israelis by that same organization on October 7th. You got to keep this straightforward, and I have no idea why the Democrats are immolating themselves over this particular issue. Mike Johnson said it. You are either for Israel or you're not. If you're not for Israel, then which side are you on when you consider that the other side is a collection of degenerate terrorists? That's not a political issue for me. It may cost them some votes, et cetera, but that's not the point for me. The point for me is that when it comes down to choosing Israelis or Palestinians, I choose Israelis.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. Good morning. John David Wells at your service. This weekend, we celebrate Armed Forces Day. It's actually tomorrow. And they are going to celebrate in Torrance, California. That is happening today. And here's a report on that very subject.
Focused branch. And if people haven't attended our parade before, they just need to understand that all the branches are represented really well. And it's just such an exciting event for the people participating in it and for the people watching. And so I encourage, if you have not come out to our parade before, or if you haven't been involved in it, or if you have a military background and you just want to come out and relive the glory days, come out. It's such a great event for everybody to come together, get on one page and really focus on something that really matters to us, and that's the protection of the United States of America through our armed forces.
Yep. So very, very cool. So very, very cool. And it's going on in Torrance, California, and it will be around the country. Not a lot of people pay attention to Armed Forces Day. On October 31st, 1949, Secretary of Defense Lewis Johnson announced the creation of an Armed Forces Day to replace separate Army, Navy, and Air Force days. The single-day celebration stemmed from the unification of the armed forces under one department, the Department of Defense. Each of the military leagues and orders was asked to drop sponsorship of its specific service day in order to celebrate the newly announced Armed Forces Day. The Army, Navy, Air Force leagues adopted the newly formed day. The Marine Corps League declined to support the support for the Marine Corps Day, but supports Armed Forces Day too. The Marine Corps celebrates its birthday on November 10th. In a speech announcing the formation of the day, President Truman praised the work of the military services at home and across the seas and said it's vital to the security of the nation and to the establishment of a desirable peace. What's fascinating about this for me was President Trump wanted to have lavish military parades. And that is something that happens. They're not lavish. They're not national, although I would love to see a United States military parade down Pennsylvania Avenue once a year with fireworks and all of that, flyovers, et cetera, et cetera. I'd love to see that, because the military of this nation truly does represent the very best of this nation and its ideals. And yes, they do enforce those ideals, etc. But still, on the other hand, you need to keep in mind that those people are truly golden. They are sentinels of the Republic, and they deserve to be recognized at least once a year. But there was the hue and cry of, oh my God, he wants to turn this into he wants to do the Soviet May Day parade. Oh, please. That was the criticism against Donald Trump. And the thing about it is that since the 60s, the Democrat Party has immolated itself yet again against being part of the people who support the United States military. They just don't. President Bill Clinton, I abhor the military. Okay, whatever, Mr. President. I understand what you were trying to say. I abhor the need for the military. And yeah, okay, that's an ideological thing. But that's not what came out, is it? So when it comes right down to it, it seems to me that there should be a lot more attached to Armed Forces Day. We quite literally owe these people our country. They have indeed waged their entire life and future for the sake of this nation. And that needs to be recognized. And we're not asking for much. You know, a parade? I mean, can we at least have a remembrance of Armed Forces Day at the level of the St. Patrick's Day parades around the nation in these gigantic leftist cities? Is that asking too much? I don't think so. I'm going to be celebrating the Armed Forces Day weekend by drilling with the Texas State Guard. Remember, nothing I say about the Texas State Guard is anything beyond my own personal opinion. I do not represent the policies of the Texas State Guard or the Texas Military Department. I'm just going to be a soldier of Texas, remembering my brothers and sisters from the National Federal Services. In great fashion, I might add, because I love them so. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells, thanking you for being a part of our broadcast. Telephone number remains 817-379-2172. Back in just a moment.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. So this morning, I start my day like most days by going through the news. And what I find in the news is often multi levels of response from my mind. There is joy, there is pathos, there is tragedy, there is ridiculousness, and then there's annoyance. And my annoyance settles around how politics in this nation is used as a way to further an agenda that is, for most cases, totally inappropriate to what the people of the United States of America want out of their country. They want to be left alone. They want to be able to enjoy their freedoms and liberties. They want to be able to make a living. They don't mind paying taxes as long as they're not too high. They don't mind a lot of different things the government thinks are just absolutely critical at this particular moment. And they put up with it. But then there are times when politics becomes, I was going to say evil. And I suppose it is. And one of those times was when Clarence Thomas was nominated to be on the Supreme Court of the United States of America. Joe Biden, the senator at the time, wove this very intricate, very arcane narrative, speaking to Clarence Thomas, trying to say that he was not qualified to be a Supreme Court justice because he was black, and said everything except that you're not qualified because you're black in this meandering attempt to evade accountability for what was an absolutely racist diatribe against the second black justice of the United States of America in the Supreme Court. That has not gone anywhere. This man has been excoriated over his career by being nothing more than a secondary vote for Justice Antonin Scalia, when in fact, Clarence Thomas was an observer. As long as his questions were being asked, it wasn't necessary for him to ask them. And so he stood back and watched and ruled. And he will be remembered as one of the great justices of the Supreme Court. But in this election cycle, there have been attacks, not just on Clarence Thomas, by Democrats and leftists, but there have been attacks on other justices of the Supreme Court for all kinds of reasons, mainly age. But when it comes right down to Clarence Thomas, this is harassment. ProPublica notably published a series of articles outlining what they saw was Justice Thomas's interactions with Harlan Crow, a billionaire real estate developer, longtime friend of the justice. The series of exposés, in quotation marks, culminated in the revelation that Mr. Crow had purchased the home of Justice Thomas's mother with the intent of converting it into a museum. Moreover, ProPublica revealed that Mr. Crow had invited the jurist on several boating outings and family vacations. My goodness gracious. That was seen as just absolutely unethical. Landmark Legal Foundation from the Ronald Reagan Legal Center said there was nothing improper about Justice Thomas' engagement in any of the activities. There is no evidence either party asserted a quid pro quo aspect to their relationship. At no point during Justice Thomas's tenure has Mr. Crow or any of his business entities had cases before the Supreme Court. However, because Justice Thomas did not disclose every part of these engagements, ProPublica, other outlets, published claims that the justice had violated core judicial ethics. Armed with those allegations, the left immediately responded with calls for Justice Thomas to be removed from the Supreme Court. That finally blew over because there was no basis to it. But, once again, I keep talking about how the left, when they get caught doing something stupid, in order to not look stupid, they believe that what they must do is double down. Now, Democrat senators want answers from Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, as reported by USA Today, about a $267,000 loan he received in 1999 to purchase a high-end motorhome. For those people that don't know, Justice Thomas loves to get in his motorhome and drive around the country. That's what he just loves to do. And he's got this really cool motorhome. And he drives around. And people, most of the time, don't have any idea that it's him. He lives the RV life, and it's wonderful. However, Senators Ron Wyden of Oregon and Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island wrote a letter to Thomas's attorney on Wednesday of this week. The justice has evaded answering whether he's repaid any of the loan. It's none of your damn business whether somebody repays a loan or not. It's none of your business. That, however, leaves open the possibility, according to the senators, that Thomas failed to report to the IRS and pay taxes on any part of the loan that was forgiven. The possibility of a serious tax violation of this kind by a member of the Supreme Court warrants investigation. This is harassment of a Supreme Court justice. Wyden leads. White House is a member of the Senate Finance Committee, which oversees tax issues. Thomas's lawyer, Elliot Burke, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. He previously told the committee that Thomas has, quote, fully complied with all judicial disclosures and rules on the matter. So it's nothing more than harassment. This is my opinion, nothing more than harassment of the nation's second black Supreme Court justice. So much for diversity and inclusion of the Democrat Party, don't you think? This is hypocrisy. This is hypocrisy, and it's all because of conservative versus liberal, conservative versus progressive, conservative versus socialist communism. It has nothing more to do with that. But the left also knows just how powerful the Supreme Court is. For years and years, decades even, that they have been trying to further a political agenda through the courts as opposed to doing it through legislature because they can't win in the legislature. So they abuse the justice system, and they're doing it now. And you can see it plainly. It's called lawfare, but it's been called other things. But it wasn't just Justice Thomas that was under attack. Democrat senators joined the hue and cry for Justice Sonia Sotomayor to retire so that President Biden could bring somebody else into the court, as he did with Ketanji Brown Jackson, who does not know, by the way, what a woman is. She can't define a woman because she's not a biologist. Okay. Anyway, they're concerned. They also wanted Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg to retire. She ended up dying in office. And so what ended up happening was the Supreme Court lurched sharply to the right, according to NBC News. Ginsburg was 81 years old and a cancer survivor. She could have retired and been replaced by a Democrat appointee when President Barack Obama was in office. The party controlled 55 Senate seats. She rejected the call, died in September of 2020, allowing then President Donald Trump to replace her. Then there was Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer. Yeah. He was another one that was vetted on the way out the door by President Biden. And he had no interest in retiring until it was absolutely necessary that Joe Biden get another justice involved in the Supreme Court. Yeah. Justice Ginsburg said she was going to stay on the court as long as she was healthy. And she did. And so what we have here is we have nothing short of what I consider to be evil harassment against Clarence Thomas. Let's face it. These people who would attack Clarence Thomas over something having to do with a $200,000 motorhome loan, they really need to back off. They really do. They need to back off in a big hurry, too. Because this is the kind of stuff that makes it impossible for the Democrats to actually do anything but further their agenda in the court system. And the people's confidence in the court system wanes every single day because of it. I have on this broadcast talked a lot about judicial interference in congressional districts. Congressional districts are drawn by the party in power. If you want to draw the congressional districts, what you do is you win elections. And if you have a leftist agenda that nobody wants, you're not going to win elections. And so in order to get these districts, and it just happened a couple of days ago, the Supreme Court said, yeah, let's draw another district in Louisiana that's a majority black district. So much for trying to evade systemic racism. That is systemic racism. It's outrageous. But that's what's happening courtesy of the judicial branch of our government. That is wrong. Is it wrong because of politics? The wrong people will get elected, you bigot? No, that has nothing to do with any of it. What it does is it insulates one political party. It doesn't make any difference which one it is. It insulates a political party of having to come up with policies that people like. And so they can win elections with those policies. And so there's no real need for, say, for example, any particular political party to come up with policy that people want to vote for. They don't care. Well, they'll just get the districts redrawn in a courtroom somewhere, which reduces the American democracy that these people crow about protecting as much as they possibly can, down to a judge or 3 judges or a few judges that are not elected, that are supposedly apolitical, which is not what's happening. No, the people of the United States need to weigh in on these things. And the Supreme Court of the United States sits atop the judicial branch of our nation's government. It is intended to be the weakest of the branches for good reason. And that good reason, by the way, is so that this legislation through judicial fiat runs into big trouble. How many times have you heard stories on this broadcast about judicial decisions that have the weight of law being ignored by various sheriffs? Not just in Texas, but in a lot of places around the nation. Liberal enclaves, too. Sorry, that's not constitutional. We're not going to enforce the law. That's the check and balance our framers intended when they put this nation's government together. Getting back to the practicality of it, you have to win over the people to be successful in American politics. Unless you're willing to distort, warp, twist, in other words, fold, spindle, and mutilate the Constitution of the United States in an effort to further a political agenda, which is not the way this is supposed to work. You're supposed to do it through the legislative branch. The legislative branch makes law. The executive branch signs off on that law and then enforces it. The judicial branch makes sure the law is constitutional. That's in the federal system. There are federal crimes that the federal judicial system sees, just as there are Supreme Courts in every state, et cetera, et cetera. The system works really, really well until it's poisoned by politics. Clarence Thomas is a brilliant legal mind. To say otherwise is either political or racist. And in this particular case, Democrats are essentially affirming both, aren't they? They're both political and they're racist. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And then when you start adding the fact that suddenly we have a Democrat Party that doesn't want to support Israel and Jews, what is there to argue against the Democrat Party of the United States of America being the most racist political party, not just currently, but in the history of the United States of America? There's got to be a Democrat out there that's got an answer to that. Where are you? 817-379-2172. Democrats, I think your president is an anti-Jewish bigot. I think he's a pro-Hamas terrorist supporter. And by implication, you might be too. Your vaunted leftist campuses are hotbeds for anti-Jewish bigotry. Your media keeps going after Clarence Thomas, trying to get him off the court so that a ultra-liberal like Ketanji Brown Jackson can be appointed by President Biden. Why in heaven's name would anybody, and I mean anybody, support the Democrat Party for any reason? They've turned ugly, haven't they? And if they haven't, please explain why they haven't, because that's what it looks like to me. This is the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. Good morning. John David Wells at your service. It's Friday. Jon Stewart, when he was doing The Daily Show, had this moment of zen, which is something that exemplified a particular portion of American society. It was brilliant. Like many of the things that Jon Stewart does, we still quote him to this day. You know, Jon Stewart is a national treasure. It's absolutely true. And so we were talking about the tripartite state of the American government, the executive, judicial, and the legislative branch of our government. There's another three-part collection in our government. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Representative Jasmine Crockett of Texas. Yeah, they were trying to have a contempt hearing in the House Oversight Committee for Attorney General Merrick Garland, who said that, yes, congressional subpoenas are incredibly important as long as they're legitimate. But this one that he's being held in contempt for is not legitimate. How nice. And then he asserted that the Attorney General of the United States can determine whether or not a subpoena is legitimate or not, which is completely garbage. And all these Democrats who say, no one is above the law. Well, as a matter of fact, there are people above the law, and indeed, it happens to be Attorney General Merrick Garland, who stated right in front of everybody. So anyway, they were having this particular discussion regarding holding Merrick Garland in contempt when Marjorie Taylor Greene decided to ask a question that was kind of, shall we say, off the agenda. And here is what happened immediately after that.
Please tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? What?
By the way, in case you're wondering, let me stop this for just a couple of seconds. What happened is that I missed this part in the edit. What happened was Marjorie Taylor Greene asked if anybody on the Democrat side of the aisle had used the daughter of Judge Juan Merchan in any kind of political activation, and this is what happened.
Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order, Mr. Chairman. That's beneath would even you your please screen. regain That's beneath order even of your you. committee. Order, please.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words.
That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack
meeting will
the
suspend,
physical
meeting will
appearance of another
suspend.
person?
Are your
Move
feelings
her
hurt?
words down.
Oh,
Girl, baby girl.
oh, really?
Don't even play. with me.
Baby girl? I don't think
we are gonna
so.
move and we're gonna take your words down.
I
Thank you very
second that motion.
So who will have to pay? Okay. That Ms. Green agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
should
recognizes
apologize. No,
Mr.
she
Perry.
should
Okay,
apologize.
hold on. Then after Mr. Perry, she'll be recognized. Then Ms. Green
I'm not
still has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well,
seconds.
then
Okay,
you're
reserve
not
the right to
striking your
object.
words.
I am
Mr.
not
Perry,
apologizing.
Well, let's go. Come on, guys.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, the
it's
minority.
pretty
No,
self-evident.
You're not.
Yeah, you're
out
not.
of order.
You don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to strike
I'd
the.
like to
I
strike
move to
those
strike the
words
lady's
as well.
words.
I would like to
I
order.
the lady's
as well.
words again.
That's 2 requests to strike. That's 2 requests to strike.
Oh, they cannot take the
There's
words.
another motion to strike her words again. Please
All right.
get
Okay.
your
Here's
members under
the
control.
correct apology. Ms. Green, do you ask unanimous? Do you agree to unanimous consent to strike your words?
I repeat again for the second time. Yes, I'll
All
strike
right.
my words,
That-
but I'm not
all right.
apologizing.
Without objection. Without
Not
objection.
apologizing.
Chair
Reserving the right to
recogni-
object.
No,
Chairman, I
Chair
reserve the right to object.
recognizes Mr.
I
Perry.
reserve the right to object.
Really? So I remember way back a long time ago when I saw my first girl fight. It happened in high school, and I could not believe the epic violence that occurred therein. I couldn't believe it. Hair pulling, spitting, biting, all manner of things. I mean, it was horrifying. And we just saw a little piece of that among 3 of these House of Representatives members, Ocasio-Cortez, Green, and Crockett. And the whole thing became a food fight. And you could see other members of the committee just with their head in their hands, some smiling in embarrassment, just going, really? Are we really doing this? There is someone that I truly, truly respect. I'm not going to give you her name, but I've known her for well over a decade, maybe 2. And she currently is in the Congress of the United States. And I remember one of the first texts after she showed up in Washington, D.C. She said this was an S-word show. And the people of the United States make it abundantly plain that their approval rating for Congress is in the dumper. It's been in the dumper for 20 years or more. And it's because of stuff like this. You know, I often say on this broadcast, we elect the wrong people to run this government. And I don't know that what I just showed you dissuades my thoughts on that particular topic or conclusion in any way, shape, or form. I'm reasonably sure that we keep electing the wrong people. Sure, the House of Representatives is supposed to be rough and tumble, but really? Really? This has been the Wells Report. Thanks very much for watching it. This is the Friday edition, which means we get 2 days off. Enjoy yours. I'll enjoy mine, and I will see you again on Monday. God bless you. Oh, wait. Hold it. Don't go anywhere. I'm not going to see you on Monday. I got to do something on Monday. All right. I got to do something that starts at the same time this broadcast normally starts. I'm glad you reminded me of that. I will see you on Tuesday because I got a job. You see, I have got to make a living, and this show doesn't do it. I try. I think I put on a very, very good show every single day, but you know, advertisers and audience, they have to vote. They have to vote in the affirmative too. And so far that hasn't happened. Now, many people say, well, the first couple of years of a podcast are slow. And I understand that. But I've gotten to the point now where my wife, Susan, has indeed held this show up as long as I want her to. She has endorsed this broadcast and not hassled me at all about doing this broadcast in absence of money-making professional pursuit. And so I've gotten a job. And so I will be more than happy to continue doing this broadcast. The timing may change a little bit, but I've got to go to my new job and I've got to process in and I've got to get my schedules and I've got to do all that stuff on Monday. So I'll see you Tuesday for another edition of the Wells Report, and I'll have more news on that, okay? So until then, God bless you and all your endeavors. Take good care of yourself. And whatever you